Now we're going to be chatting European river cruises. We've got in here owner and manager of Austria Connection, Inge Dobihal. She's going to be chatting about Amadeus river cruises, which is something you can do through Europe on the various rivers. You can get from city to city, but we're going to let her discuss the details. Welcome to Studio, Inge.
Thank you very much, Warren, for inviting me.
Okay, good. Right, so let's start with a basic introduction. What is
Right.
the Amadeus river cruises? What are they?
Well, Amadeus River Cruises is actually an Austrian cruise company, established many, many years ago, not only years ago, decades ago. It's a family business, and they operate the five-star Amadeus ships. All the ships have got different names, but we call it Amadeus River Cruises because each ship is named Amadeus Brilliant, Amadeus Elegant, Amadeus something. The actual company's name is Lüftner Cruises, which is a bit a difficult name, particularly to pronounce here in South Africa.
Right. Now, you said it's five-star cruises, and I know this for a fact. I was just telling people I actually did this on my honeymoon, so I can kind of understand why it's a five-star river cruise, because it's relatively small amounts of people.
Exactly. That is the beauty generally about river cruises, that it's rather an intimate cruise. Maximum is about 170 people on board. And there's one thing I particularly, first of all, as an introduction, actually, would like to say about river cruises. There's a huge difference between river cruises and ocean cruises.
Right.
Ocean cruises, they primarily concentrate on the sea, good food, entertainment on board. When it comes to river cruises, it's a travel experience. You see, as you mentioned, different cities, but not only different cities, very often in one cruise also 3-4 different countries.
Right.
So the emphasis is on traveling, and doing a river cruise is the most comfortable way of traveling. First of all, you've got the advantage, you only check in and check out once. The other thing is when you compare it with traveling, on a bus you are sitting confined to your seat. Here you are traveling in the luxury of a cruise with restaurant, bars, coffee shops on board. You are free to walk around.
Right.
That
And of
is
course, taking the view, which is often
and
much of it,
of course
yeah.
the view. But traveling, as I say, river cruises is traveling the most comfortable way. No hotel change, nothing, and you see a lot of certain parts of Europe.
Well, that was one of the reasons we did one, was because, as you say, you got to see a lot of countries, and you didn't have to spend a lot of time kind of traveling between it, because some of the traveling happened during the day while you were,
or even during the night.
or at
sometimes.
night,
Yeah.
or while you were off on an excursion. There was one case in Salzburg where there was a day excursion,
Yes.
and then people would meet up at the next stop, and the
Yeah.
boat's already at the next stop.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of time wasted, which is
Quite
really good. So
correct,
if you've
yeah.
got quite a short amount of time to see things in, it's quite a nice way to do it.
Yes.
One of the big attractions is obviously the food and the wine on board, and I know that my
That
wife
is
and I
for
was saying that we
certain.
put on a number of kilos over the couple of days we were on there. Tell us about
Yeah.
that.
Well, the food is simply, as you experience it yourself, the food is simply excellent. It's of a very, very high standard. You don't have to complain about quantities. I think you never can finish what possibilities you get.
Right.
What is very nice is that with each meal, you have got 3 choices. So it's not only one set meal you can choose, which is also very convenient, particularly for vegetarians, because for each meal there is always every day one vegetarian meal as
Right.
well. So that makes it easy and people have got the choice what they would like to eat. With dinner, there is always free table wine, so you can enjoy your dinner. That's another thing. Also, generally talking about dinners, there's only on a ship like that, only one setting, not like you have it so often on ocean cruises. There's one dinner setting,
Right.
or the first one or the second one. No, on our ships, you can sit at dinner as long as you want.
It works more
And-
like a hotel dinner where it's open from a certain time and closed at a certain time
Exactly.
when you shut
And
it.
you can enjoy your wine as long as you want.
Right.
So I think the food and wine and is actually absolutely fantastic.
One of the things I liked about the wine was particularly that they were pairing it by country as we went through.
very
So there
often-
was Hungarian wines and Austrian wines and
Yes,
German wines as we
yes. Yes, that
Right,
is
which
absolutely true.
the other thing that goes along with that sort of theme is that there's talks along the way about the history of the various areas that you're about to visit, and newsletters and things that you get given with information about your next stop. And also, occasionally, there's cultural entertainment from the country that you come to. I remember the opening night we did a cruise up and down Budapest.
Budapest, exactly.
Right.
Yes, it really gives you the flavor of the different countries as far as entertainment is concerned and also as food is concerned. So you get really a taste and a feel for the countries that you are visiting. There's perhaps one thing I also would like to say generally about cruising on our ships. You have experience, I don't know at what cabin did you?
Oh no, I think we were in the basement.
You were in the
yeah,
base.
we were.
Okay,
Yeah.
exactly.
But it was good. I mean, it was
But
even
that's
there.
exactly what I actually wanted to particularly point out. All the ships have got generally 3 decks with cabins. There is the so-called ground deck, then the middle deck, and the top deck. The top deck is always the most expensive, the middle one middle range, and the ground deck is the cheapest.
Right.
In furnishing and size, the cabins are throughout the ship exactly the same, unless, of course, you've got a suite, which is bigger. But otherwise, furnishing size is exactly the same, and the only difference, and also price difference, of course, is the location and perhaps the window situation.
Right.
All cabins on the ground deck only have a rather small upper window, because the actual floor of the cabin is already below water.
Right.
Whilst cabins on the middle deck and on the top deck, they've got either a huge panorama window, but most of them, middle and top deck, actually have French balconies.
Right.
So that is the big difference in the cabin. The price difference is also quite considerable. Now, when I did the cruise, I also stayed on the ground deck cabin, and actually purposely, because I wanted to have the experience. And I must say, we were perfectly happy, because the amenities of the ships are so perfect. You spend the day either in the panorama bar, or on the sun deck, or you're out on an excursion, or you are in the dining room. We use the cabin for sleeping.
That's it.
For a change of clothes and for sleeping, for nothing else.
Right.
So for us, we thought, and I still believe, if you're a little bit tight on money, rather stay in the ground deck cabin.
Absolutely.
And use the extra money if you want
That
to.
That is a real tip. As I say, I can attest to that myself. That's a real real tip. Now, the other thing we noticed was that the service was excellent. I mean, there was a lot of staff per person that was on board.
Yes.
And the staff was very attentive. They were excellent. There were themed nights in the dining rooms and whatever. And
it gives you also a personal feeling, because every dinner or lunchtime you've got the same waiter that is catering for your personal table, so which makes it a very, very close.
Yes, and you actually get to know them over the course of the trip and things.
Exactly.
The one we did for the honeymoon was on the Danube from Budapest to Germany, but obviously that was only a portion of the trip. You can actually go a lot further than that.
Yes, you can actually go the whole river. You can cruise the whole river Danube from Passau right down to the Black Sea.
Right. So I mean that's an extensive cruise. It's a
very
weeks,
extensive cruise. Now it takes exactly 15 days.
Well, there you are. So it's just over 2 weeks.
But yes, it takes time. But then there are also shorter cruises. On the lower part of the Danube, you can do a cruise from Budapest.
Yes, that's the one that we did.
To the Black Sea.
Oh, the other way around. Okay.
Yes, the extension, right down to the Black Sea. That includes also a stay in Bucharest, so it makes it actually very interesting, totally different aspect of cruise. But obviously it's for somebody, it's a part of the world that I would say it's extremely interesting. But if you haven't been to Europe before, you certainly should rather start with the western part of Europe and keep that for a later experience.
Because yes, that's a very rarely visited kind of an area. I mean, that includes Bulgaria and Romania.
Yes, and it also has then quite a bit of problems with visa implications.
Oh, really? Okay.
Whilst all the way right down to Budapest, it's all Schengen countries, that makes it very easy.
So it's just one visa or one passport and one. Okay.
Although things are getting a little bit easier, like for instance in Romania, if you are on a cruise like that, and you do have a Schengen visa, then you can stay in Romania. You're allowed up to 5 days without a Romanian visa.
Right.
So things are getting slightly
They're just trying to simplify
easier,
it for people.
but still there are some implications.
Okay, so that's the Danube. And obviously the Danube, we stopped, I think it was Hungary, Slovakia, Austria, Germany,
So here
which is
you
4
are.
countries
It
in a
is
week.
It's
Right.
4 countries on one river cruise. Yes.
Right. And then the other rivers that you do, I know that you do the Rhine and you do from Amsterdam.
To Basel. Or
Right.
to Baal.
Right. And obviously the Rhine is known for its kind of high cliffs and its castles sitting on top of the cliffs.
The Rhine certainly very, very picturesque. So is in nearly the same way, I would say, also the Danube.
Right.
And I would like just to mention that obviously you have noticed by now that I am Austrian.
Yes.
So naturally I'm also a little bit biased.
Right.
But I really think the Danube is the most beautiful.
Well, the
river.
Abbey at Melk was one of the definite highlights
Yes.
for Europe, as far as I'm
yeah.
concerned. That little town and everything around it was
It's
spectacular.
definitely, and the beauty about Austria is that it is totally unspoiled. There is no industry around the whole
Right.
river Danube, except perhaps one little town, Linz, but you would not notice the
Right.
industry from the boat.
And it's one of those things that the river winds, and as you come around a corner, there's another ruin or another something on each corner, and it's
Castles, medieval little towns, vineyards,
That's it.
orchards. It's a very, very pretty.
so as you
part.
say, there's no reason to sit in your room. It's constantly just up on the sun deck watching the view.
And
It's
watching the scenery.
right.
yes.
Okay. So now with the Rhine cruise specifically, where does it stop?
Well, it stops all along. It starts in Amsterdam, it stops in Cologne, it stops in Nuremberg. So there are all the most
the German
famous. Cologne, I said already.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a very pretty cruise as well. And of course, ending up in Switzerland is also a lovely thing, particularly if people want perhaps to afterwards do something else. So both cruises really highly to be recommended. And then besides the
And then you-
Danube and the Rhine, we also have got cruises in France.
Yeah, you just started a new one, you were saying.
Yes. Well, we had already the last few years a cruise in France from Lyon to Avignon and back to Lyon, which proved to be very, very popular, particularly at when it's lavender blossom
Right,
time.
of course.
So that is an absolute fantastic sight to see. Well, talking
That
about
should be now. That should be this time of year, yeah.
that is about May. No,
Is it? Okay.
it's
So it's
look-
spring more than
yes, exactly.
more than
It's
summer.
spring
Okay.
now. It's getting
Okay,
into
okay.
autumn over there. Just talking about flowers, just to go back to the Rhine, of course. Sorry, not to the Rhine, but we also have a cruise, the tulip cruise. Nearly
Okay.
forgot about that.
Right.
Through Holland and Belgium.
Okay.
And that operates only at tulip times, which is
And
March,
some of
April,
these
May.
cruises actually you're capable of linking up quite easily as well if you're really
not with
dedicated.
that
isn't it?
particular one, no.
Okay.
The only thing where it works out sometimes if you go from Passau to Budapest
Okay.
and then from Budapest carry on to the Black Sea.
Right.
There sometimes you can
Okay.
link it up. So of course, just wanted talking about flowers. I thought I must not forget about the tulip cruises
Right.
because that is certainly also a very, very big attraction. And then, as you said, our new cruise for next year, that is an additional cruise in France. It goes from Paris all the way to the Normandy and back to Paris. It includes quite a bit of a stay in Paris itself, and the countryside of the Normandy is actually mind-boggling. It's very, very pretty. So we are really looking forward. We hope it will be a good success to this new cruise of ours.
Right.
And talking generally about cruises, I also must not forget at all that we have not only in Europe, we also operate cruises in Asia.
I think we're going to have to get you back to talk about Asia a little bit at some point.
That is a subject on its own.
But you were saying that the French one is quite popular during lavender season, which is
Yes.
obviously May now. You're saying
In May, June, yes.
but summer isn't the only time to go river cruising. You've actually
You're
got some
quite
quite
right.
specialized
Yes.
cruises for Christmas time and
Yes.
for. All right, tell us about some of the different ones.
We operate Christmas and pre-Christmas cruises.
Okay.
The one is called The Magic of Advent, which really takes in all the Christmas market atmosphere. There's a cruise like that on the Rhine. Nuremberg, for instance, I think is the most well-known place in Germany for Christmas markets. And another one is in Austria along the Danube. And the Christmas markets in Austria are also particularly nice. Especially to mention perhaps, although you can do that only on an excursion to Salzburg, but Salzburg has got a very special Christmas meaning. I'm not so sure whether you ever were aware of the fact the song Silent Night, Holy Night was written and composed by the local schoolmaster and priest in a little village just outside of Salzburg. Okay. It was written by those people and performed the very first time in a little chapel there. Okay. So Salzburg has got a very, very Christmassy atmosphere. There are still, the chapel still exists. It's a memorial chapel, and there are special excursions, and so you really can experience the Christmas atmosphere there very well. Excellent. But then it's not only the pre-Christmas, we call it Magic of Advent, but we also have got proper Christmas cruises that takes you spending, celebrating actual Christmas on the ship. And then we also have New Year's cruises where you celebrate New Year with, especially popular is actually the Danube one. And you waltz into the new year. How else? You're on an Amadeus ship. What else can you do but waltz into the new year? And with some magnificent fireworks to be seen in Budapest. So it's really quite an experience in its own.
Do you still do the classical music?
And this one as well, yes. For Amadeus, of course, you have to associate it with music in any way. And we do operate music cruises, classical music on the Rhine, classical music on the Danube. So for music lovers, this is, of course, the perfect combination.
Yes, because it includes excursions to go and watch the operas and the...
Yes, tickets, opera are included, concerts are included, so that is really a unique possibility and a fantastic way of enjoying music and enjoying scenery.
Okay, so how do people find out the details? Where can they book? What's the general basics of how they get themselves onto one of these cruises?
Well, that is actually very, very easy. Our company, Austria Connection, we are the general sales agent for the Amadeus River Cruises in South Africa. And surely, of course, you can book with us as well, but generally we actually advise you should go to your travel agency, because just being an operator, tour operator, we also do other things besides the river cruises, but we are not a professional travel agency. We don't deal with flights, we don't deal with insurances or visas or anything else. So in order to get the complete package, it would be best that you contact your travel agency, but you will find all our details and details on the cruises on our website, which is very simply www.austriaconnection.co.za.
Well, there you are. Thank you very much for coming in, Inge. It sounds amazing.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for giving me the chance.
And as I say, people, it is one that I can generally attest to. Yes, you may be one of the youngest people on the cruise, but it's really worth it. It's not dull people who are going. It's fun people. It's a good trip and well worth your time. I would advise that you head to Austria Connection immediately and .co.za immediately and take a look. Find your best one and do it. Just do it.